Most women move through the financial realms of their lives as sleepwalkers, unaware of the invisible architecture that dictates their reality. They feel the strain, the constant friction, the haunting sense that no matter what they do, an unseen ceiling presses down upon them. They work, they strive, they sacrifice, yet the river of abundance seems to flow in a channel just beyond their reach. This is not a simple matter of budgeting poorly or lacking opportunity. This is something far deeper, far more ancient. This is the silent, suffocating grip of a financial curse. It does not announce itself with thunderclaps, but with whispers, whispers of not enough, echoes of you don't deserve, the cold, familiar comfort of lack that has been passed down like a family heirloom, polished by generations of fear. It is a story written not in ink, but in the very synapses of the brain, a narrative of scarcity so ingrained it feels like truth. To understand this curse is to embark on a journey into the deepest chambers of the feminine unconscious, into the shadowlands where unexamined beliefs fester and grow powerful. It is a psychological pattern, a complex of the highest order, built upon the forgotten traumas of ancestors who knew true deprivation, upon the societal scripts that taught women their financial worth was secondary, and upon the personal disappointments that, left unhealed, became self-fulfilling prophecies. The curse is maintained not by some external witch, but by an internal guardian, the ego, which mistakes this familiar prison for a fortress. It would rather have the certainty of scarcity than the terrifying uncertainty of boundless potential. This is where the Stoic wisdom of Marcus Aurelius becomes a revolutionary act. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. The first step in breaking the curse is the brutal, beautiful realization that the prison door was never locked from the outside. The financial curse manifests as a perpetual cycle, a wheel of suffering that masquerades as fate. It begins with a windfall, a bonus, a tax return, an unexpected gift that sparks not joy but immediate anxiety. The mind, conditioned for lack, cannot compute abundance. It must immediately dissipate the energy. And so, the money vanishes. An emergency arises. A compulsive purchase feels necessary. A bill forgotten suddenly appears. The universe, it seems, conspires to return her to her rightful state of balance, which is scarcity. This is not conspiracy. It is psychology. It is the shadow, the hidden part of the psyche that holds all she has been taught to disown. Her desire for wealth, her right to power, her capacity for immense success, acting out to maintain the status quo. She projects this inner conflict onto the world. Her boss becomes the withholding father. The economy becomes the punishing god. Her bank account becomes the mirror reflecting back not her financial reality, but her deepest, most hidden beliefs about her own worth. She is caught in a fairy tale she didn't know she was telling, playing a role written for her by history. The curse feeds on her silence, on her willingness to play small, to accept crumbs as a feast. It thrives on the fear of being seen as greedy, of upsetting the family system where she was the one who sacrificed, of outshining a partner or a parent. It whispers the most seductive poison. This is just the way it is. Oh, but what if it isn't? What if this entire reality is a story, and the pen has been in your hand all along, waiting for you to awaken from the trance and begin writing a new chapter? The journey to break the curse is nothing less than the heroine's journey, a descent into the underworld of her own soul to reclaim the golden treasure she abandoned there long ago. It is an act of sacred rebellion. This descent demands a confrontation with the archetypal forces that shape her financial reality. The queen, the sovereign within who rightfully commands her realm and resources, has been dethroned. In her place, a desperate orphan archetype often takes hold, perpetually waiting for a rescue that never comes. A prince, a lottery ticket, a miraculous inheritance, anything to avoid the terrifying responsibility of her own salvation. Or perhaps the pleaser performs endless dances, earning worth through exhausting generosity, pouring her financial energy into others while her own accounts lie barren, a silent testament to her perceived unworthiness. These are not mere metaphors. They are powerful living energies within the psyche that govern behavior with the force of destiny. To break the curse is to perform a sacred coup, to storm the inner castle and restore the rightful queen to her throne. This is the essence of shadow work. To recognize these disempowered archetypes not as enemies, but as wounded aspects of the self that need integration, not exile. The financial curse is a phantom pain in a limb that was never amputated, the limb of potential. It aches with the memory of what could be. This pain is a guide, a somber map leading back to the original wound. Often it leads to the mother line, to the grandmothers and great-grandmothers whose financial autonomy was systematically severed, whose survival depended on the favor of men, who learned to manipulate indirectly because direct power was forbidden. Their unspoken fears, their quiet resentments, their strategies of lack became the emotional inheritance passed down through the womb space. This is not about blame. It is about awareness. It is about seeing the pattern with clear, compassionate eyes and uttering the most potent phrase in any healing journey. I see this. This is not mine to carry anymore. She must hold a sacred vigil for these ancestral lines, thanking the women who came before for their survival skills, while consciously choosing to lay down their burdens. She is the chosen one to end the cycle. Modern trauma psychology echoes this ancient truth. The nervous system, conditioned by stories of lack and sudden loss, remains perpetually braced for threat. It exists in a state of hypervigilance, scanning for financial danger. This state, however, is the very antithesis of receptivity. A clenched fist cannot receive gold. A body in a constant state of fight or flight cannot attune to the subtle frequencies of opportunity and flow. It will inevitably attract more of what it fears, because that is the reality it is primed to see. The Stoic Epictetus understood this fundamental law of consciousness. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. The reaction is dictated by the nervous system's history. Therefore, breaking the financial curse is not merely an intellectual exercise, it is a somatic one. It requires breathing deeply into the belly, unclenching the jaw, relaxing the shoulders, teaching the body cell by cell that the war is over, that it is safe to receive, that it is safe to be powerful, that it is safe to be wealthy. This is where the provocations must land, directly in the heart of the viewer's own experience. How often has your body tensed at the sight of a bank statement? What is the visceral feeling in your gut when you consider asking for a raise or naming your true price? That sensation is the curse made flesh. It is the embodied memory of every time you or your lineage were told, directly or indirectly, that money was not for you, that you were not enough. To fura a bolha, to puncture the bubble of this limited reality, requires a conscious, deliberate act of rewriting this somatic script. It is a practice of sitting in the stillness and repeating until the body believes it. My safety is not outside of me. My safety is my own presence. I am the source. I am the sovereign. This is the unshakable ground of Stoic philosophy, meeting the embodied wisdom of the feminine. It is the realization that external fortune is fickle, but the internal kingdom, once claimed, is eternal. The chaos of the market, the opinions of others, the unpredictability of life, these are the storms that rage outside the castle wall. But within, the queen remains calm and resolute, because her worth is not contingent on the weather. To claim this sovereignty is to engage in the alchemical fire of individuation, the Jungian process of becoming the undivided whole self. In the context of finance, this means withdrawing the projections placed upon money itself. Money is not a punishing father, a savior, or a corrupting force. It is neutral energy, a form of pure potential. The curse persists because it is charged with shadow energy. It becomes the screen upon which all unhealed trauma and disowned power is projected. The woman who fears money as corrupting is often terrified of her own power to influence and command, a power she was taught was masculine and therefore forbidden. The woman who believes money is elusive is often disconnected from her own ability to be present and grounded in the material world. The work, then, is to reclaim these projections, to strip money of its archetypal baggage and see it for what it is: a tool for creation, a means for impact, a current that flows where consciousness directs it. This requires a fearless inventory of the personal and collective shadow. What ugly, uncomfortable truths about money have been shoved into the darkness? The secret thrill of superiority when giving to someone less fortunate? The quiet envy that curls in the stomach when a colleague succeeds? The hidden belief that true spirituality must be poor? These are not sins, they are signposts. Each flicker of envy points to a disowned desire. Each act of financial hypocrisy reveals a conflict in values. Seneca's wisdom cuts to the heart of it. He who is greedy is always in want. The want is not for more money, but for more self. The greed is a frantic attempt to fill an inner void with an external substance that can never satisfy. The curse is the perpetual want. The breaking of the curse is the realization of inner wholeness, which changes one's relationship to externals entirely. From a state of fullness, money becomes an expression of value, not a desperate attempt to acquire it. The modern world, with its relentless demands and comparisons, actively weaponizes this inner lack. It preys on the unhealed feminine, selling her solutions to problems it convinced her she had. It invites her to perform worth through consumption, to plaster over the wound of unworthiness with the band-aid of luxury. This is the curse wearing a modern mask, and it is perhaps more seductive and dangerous than the curse of outright poverty. It creates a gilded cage of debt and obligation, all in the service of maintaining an image that remains hollow at its core. The Stoic reminder of amor fati, the love of one's fate, is not a call to resign oneself to struggle, but a radical command to find sovereignty and meaning precisely where one stands. To look at one's financial reality, not with shame or despair, but with the clear, unflinching eyes of a scientist studying a fascinating phenomenon. This is the data. This is the map of my current consciousness. What does it reveal? It reveals every hidden contract, every silent agreement made with the past. The agreement to stay small to make others comfortable. The agreement to never have more than a parent. The agreement to struggle, because struggle is synonymous with virtue in the family story. To break these contracts is an act of profound spiritual rebellion. It will cause tremors in relationships. It will require saying no where one has always said yes. It will demand setting boundaries that feel at first like cruelty. This is the point of maximum friction, where the curse fights back with its most potent weapon, guilt. But this guilt is not a truth. It is a ghost. The voice of an old world trying to maintain its shape. The empowered self must walk through this guilt like a mist, understanding its insubstantial nature. She is not betraying her family. She is betraying the dysfunction that held her family captive for generations. She is not being greedy. She is finally participating in the full flow of life, claiming her rightful share of the sun. This rebellion is fueled by a profound shift in temporal orientation, a liberation from the past's haunting grip. The financial curse is a phantom that feeds on memory, on the relentless replaying of past failures, inherited struggles, and old stories of not enough. It keeps the psyche anchored in a time that no longer exists, blinding it to the fertile possibilities of the present moment. The Stoic Marcus Aurelius, in the quiet solitude of his camp, wrote of this precise mental prison: "Give yourself a gift, the present moment." This is the ultimate act of defiance against the curse, to fully inhabit the now. For in the now, there is only potential. In the now, the accounts of yesterday are just numbers on a screen, not life sentences. In the now, the next breath, the next choice, the next aligned action is available, untainted by what came before. The curse cannot survive in the full, luminous presence of a conscious awareness that has stopped time traveling into past regrets or future anxieties. This present moment awareness is the forge where new neural pathways are hammered into being. It is the practice of catching the automatic thought, "I can't afford that, money is so hard, this will never work," and holding it in the light of consciousness without judgment. This simple act of noticing is alchemical. It severs the identification with the thought. It creates a sliver of space, a pause, and in that pause lies infinite freedom. In that pause, the queen can choose a different response. She can choose the thought that serves her sovereignty. How can I afford that? Money flows to me easily. I am open to unexpected solutions. This is not naive affirmation. It is the conscious, deliberate pruning of a dead branch so a new one may grow. It is the rewiring promised by neuroplasticity, guided by the ancient hand of willpower and awareness. It is the practical application of Jung's concept of transcending the opposites, moving from the passive state of being controlled by thoughts to the active state of observing and choosing them. The emotional charge around money must then be transmuted. For many, checking an account balance is met with a wave of dread, a visceral contraction. This is the curse speaking in the language of the body. To break its spell, one must change the ritual. One must approach financial matters not with the energy of a fearful peasant approaching a tax collector, but with the calm authority of a queen, reviewing the resources of her realm. This is a sacred practice. Light a candle. Center yourself. Bring a quality of reverence to the numbers. Thank the money that has come and bless the money that has gone, understanding its exchange for value and experience. This ritualistic approach performs a deep magic on the psyche. It severs the associative link between money and fear and forges a new one between money and conscious, grateful power. It is an active visualization of the new reality, felt in the body and impressed upon the subconscious mind. This is how one truly fura, bolha, punctures the bubble of the old reality. It is not a single violent act, but 1,000 tiny moments of choice. It is choosing gratitude over resentment when paying a bill, seeing it as an exchange for a service that supports your life. It is choosing curiosity over panic when an unexpected expense arises, asking, "What is this here to teach me?" rather than, "Why does this always happen to me?" It is choosing to feel worthy of abundance even before the external evidence manifests, understanding that the feeling must precede the form. This is the Stoic virtue in action, living in accordance with your nature as a creative, powerful being, regardless of external circumstances. It is embodying the truth that your net worth is not your self-worth, and that your true currency is the quality of your consciousness, your integrity, and your capacity to bring value into the world. From that inner state of worth, external wealth becomes a natural, inevitable echo. The culmination of this journey is not a final, dramatic shattering of chains, but a quiet, steady dawning, a profound emotional and spiritual detachment from money's power to define, validate, or threaten the core self. The healed relationship with finance is one of relaxed mastery and silent partnership. Money ceases to be a god to be appeased or a demon to be feared and becomes simply energy in motion, a current that flows through the realm of the sovereign who directs it with intention and clarity. This is the essence of the Stoic ideal of apatheia, not apathy, but a state of imperturbability where the soul is no longer thrown into turmoil by the gains and losses of external fortune. The queen knows her kingdom is within. The treasury may fluctuate, but the throne remains unshaken. This detachment is the ultimate permission slip for abundance, for it removes the desperate energy of clinging that often repels what it seeks. This inner peace is a rebirth. It is the emergence of the true self from the cocoon of limiting financial identities. The struggler, the unworthy, the victim of circumstance. These are skins that are shed, leaving behind a woman who is paradoxically both powerful and soft, strategic and receptive, a master of the material world because she is no longer enslaved by it. She understands the wisdom of Seneca when he notes that true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. She plans, she builds, she invests, but she does not postpone her joy or her sense of worth until a financial goal is met. She enjoys the present texture of her life, the freedom in her choices, the dignity in her work, and the love in her relationships, all of which are currencies of a wealth that no market crash can diminish. The financial curse, in the end, was never about money. It was always about consciousness. It was a story of limitation, a narrative of separation from the abundant flow of life itself. To break it was to awaken from that story and to remember a more ancient, more truthful one, that you are not a passive character in a tragic tale, but the author of an epic of your own creation. The patterns of the past, the fears of the ancestors, the whispers of lack, they lose their power not because they are fought, but because they are seen, integrated, and understood. They become sources of compassion and wisdom, not chains. You give yourself permission, not just for your financial reality to improve, but for your soul to expand into its full expression, to create, to contribute, to shine with a light that is uniquely yours. You stand now not as a prisoner begging for release, but as a queen who has rediscovered her crown. The external world may not have shifted yet, the numbers may not have transformed, but everything has changed. The sun of your own awareness has risen, and no shadow of the past can survive its dawn. You have fura bolha. You are free. The treasure you sought was always the seeker herself.